Please, everyone, come as far forward as possible. That's where the good seats are. The price is the same, though. Directors, will you please come up and take your places at the table? Thank you. Just a word of caution. Directors, your mics are hot, so if you're going to burp, turn your face away. As most of you already experienced, the air conditioning is out. It's in the process of being repaired. We might get lucky. So let's get the program started. And if it doesn't get any cooler, we'll get through with our business. I'd like to first introduce some of our elected officials. Representative D. Murakawa, are you here, D? Oh, hi, D. Thank you for coming. Representative Nadine Nakamura is expected to be here. Representative James Togioka, he's here. Jimmy. Councilmember Derek Kawakami should be here soon. Carice Cospello Gardner, liaison for Governor David Ige. Are you here? Carice, thank you. Former KIC board member, Ben Sullivan. Ben? From OHA, we have Calico Santos. Calico? Leanna Theskin and Emily Sullivan, who was our Kansas Hawaii Youth Tour participants. Please be recognized. Emily and Leanna. Larissa Tsai, are you here? No, okay, thank you. Aloha. My name is Alan Smith, and I am the board chair for the Kauai Island Utility Cooperative. Really, thank you very much for each of you to coming out to our annual meeting. The mayor was here and is still here. No, he had to leave. He said hello and gives his best wishes, but he had to go to another engagement. This is our 15th annual meeting, marking our 15th year as a cooperative. Now that's something to celebrate. We've been around, we're for real, and we're 15 years old, ready to get our driver's license. I'm joined this evening here on stage by my fellow board members, Vice Chair Jan Ten Broekengate. Jan. Dee Kroll. Dee. Patrick Geegan. James Mayfield. Phil Takbian. Peter Yukimura. Not present this evening are board members David Iha and Cal Murashige. They are both traveling and unfortunately are not able to be here tonight. Also on stage, David Bissell, our Chief Executive Officer. As you know, these directors are elected by you, and you are accountable, they are accountable to you, the members of KIUC. Also on stage, I'd like to introduce Carissa Jonas. Carissa is our CFO, our Chief Financial Officer, and our cooperative's legal counsel is Laurel Liu. Laurel? Before we go any further, I would like to call on Ms. Nalani Brune to lead us in the national anthem and Hawaii Pono'i. Please rise. Nalani.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave. Abai ipu no I nana I kumo I kalani ali ke ali makualani kamehameha na Kauai pali mekaihe makualani kamehameha na Kauai pali mekaihe.
Thank you. Our first order of business today is the approval of minutes of the July 27, 2016 annual membership meeting by our Board of Directors.
Mr. Chairman, move to approve those minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
You should have the copy of the minutes before you. Any discussion? Hearing none. All signify by saying aye in agreement.
Aye.
Nay in opposition? The ayes have it. Minutes are approved. Now to get into our presentations. Oftentimes our President and CEO, David Bissell, will present our annual report. However, tonight I've decided to put your board members to work and have each one of them share in the presentation of the highlights of the past year. I am very honored to serve with each of these board members, and I do not believe you could ask for any better representation. Each of these individuals is 100% committed to the task of representing you and is highly knowledgeable about matters concerning your cooperative. I'd like to start with our Vice Chair, Jan ten Broekengate, and then we'll move down the line. Jan, you can speak from your chair.
Thank you, Director Smith. It's great to be able to report back when you have a good story to tell, and tonight we have a remarkable story to tell. KIUC has made great progress on renewable energy in recent years. In fact, we've gone from 9% renewable in 2010 to more than 42% renewable today, and we're still going. This slide recaps a few of our important recent milestones. The long-awaited Green Energy Team biomass plant opened in January of 2016. As of mid-2016, we had pretty much reached capacity on solar penetration during the daytime hours between our large solar projects and the rooftop systems that are on people's homes around the island. We were hitting 97% renewable penetration on many sunny days. So we had to get creative and see how we could move on additional solar projects, but to acquire that energy in the evening hours. In the past year, we've moved the needle significantly on groundbreaking solar projects. The Tesla solar project put us on the map. It got us international attention. It is the first utility-scale solar plus battery storage facility in the world. The beauty of the project is that it allows us to move solar power from the daytime into the evening. It's delivered to us all night long. Currently, the project is feeding 13 megawatts of solar onto the grid for 4 hours during the evening peak, although we tend to use it even longer than that on occasion. It provides enough power to by itself feed about 4,500 homes. Second solar plus battery storage project is in the permitting phase. This one will be a partnership with AES Distributed Energy. It'll be almost twice the size of the Tesla plant. If all goes well with permitting, this project should be online by the end of next year, 2018. So we ended 2016 at 36% renewable. By the time Tesla opened last March, we were up to 42%. The next image is the green energy biomass plant, which went into service in 2016. It is a 6.7 megawatt plant. It provides 12% of Kauai's energy 24 hours a day. The plant is a closed loop system which grows its own feedstock on wood plantations. Most of you know it runs on albizia and eucalyptus. The ash that is left after burning is used as fertilizer on the plantation, making it the only closed loop biomass plant of its kind, at least that we're aware of. The next image is our Tesla facility in Kapaya, adjacent to the Kapaya Power Station. It's on 50 acres of leased Grove Farm land. It has 55,000 solar panels, 272 Tesla batteries for storage. We held an open house on the site right after the blessing, and we're gratified to have about 200 of our members come out to see the project and to learn about it. As I said earlier, it has drawn international attention. It's been featured in news stories on CNBC, CNN, HBO, Taiwan Public Television, numerous other media outlets in the United States and around the world. And as I mentioned, we plan to bring in an even bigger facility, twice as big, by the end of next year. I'm going to move the project over to my fellow director, Dee Crowell.
Mahalo, Jan. So as mentioned earlier, we ended 2016 with 36% renewable energy. And now that the Tesla plant is operational, we are at 42% renewable energy generation. So this is what our energy mix looks like today. Thank you.
That's a welcome sound.
A great benefit of all this renewable progress is the fact that we have reduced our use of fossil fuels by 11 million gallons per year since 2010. That's a 33% reduction in fossil fuel use in just 7 years. Seeing all of this progress in a relatively short period of time, the Board of Directors voted in January to move our renewable goal from 50% by 2023 to reaching 70% in 2030. We have full confidence that we can meet that goal. This graphic gives you a visual of where our renewable generation sites are located. As you can see, virtually every area of the island, from Wainiha to Mana, is contributing in some way to our renewable transformation. This graphic and more detail on each of these projects is located in your annual report on page 5. Now let's take a look at the financial side of all of this renewable progress. You can see listed here types and amounts of renewable generation that we've added in the last 5 years. This includes 21 megawatts of distributed photovoltaic, otherwise known as rooftop solar. As Jan stated, these are projects that are on members' homes, rooftops, and businesses. In all, including the next project in line, the AES dispatchable PV project, we and our collective partners will have invested $400 million in renewable energy here on Kauai.
Thank you. Well, now we know where the mayor went and fixed the AC. Okay. One important thing to understand, especially about the newer dispatchable solar projects, is that by entering into long-term power purchase agreements for renewable sources, we can stabilize and even lower our rates over time, as the graph illustrates. The green line indicates the average cost of all of our fuel inputs for the past 2 years. This would include both diesel as well as our renewables. And you can see by the two red lines that the cost of our Tesla project and the AES project is lower than that blended average fuel cost. These agreements will hold these prices for us for 20 years on the Tesla project and 25 years on the AES project. So a substantial amount of our power will hold steady at these favorable prices and will help to protect us from fluctuating prices of oil going up and down. What about rates? As for rates in general, that is another good story that we can tell here on Kauai. This graph shows how the rates have changed on each of the islands over the past 12 months. And that's on Oahu, Maui, the Big Island, Lanai, and Molokai. Okay, our rate changes are indicated in the green line. And as you can see, we are the only utility in the state that's showing a net reduction in our rates over this period. In fact, thank you. In fact, since 2008, KIUC rates have decreased a full 18%. Okay. So what about reliability? See, in addition to renewable projects and rates, reliability is always very important to all of us, the members. And we have good news in this area to report to you as well. This chart shows the average outage hours per customer for the 4 utilities in a state. As you can see, KIUC has the best rating here at just over 1 hour average outage per customer in the year 2016. And that translates to 98.988% reliability rating, which was the highest for all of the 4 electric utilities, and it was the highest reliable factor recorded for KIUC since we became a cooperative back in 2002. Okay, one development that has helped us improve reliability significantly is the battery element of our solar projects. These batteries help stabilize frequency and buffer the grid against outages. With the development of the Tesla batteries this year and additional planned storage projects, we could see the reliability factor improve even more in the future. Thank you. Pat.
Thank you, Director Takbian. And I do want to make one correction, Phil. I don't think it was the mayor that did that. I think it was our member services department that got the air conditioning going. Speaking of member services, one of the things that KIUC implemented just recently was the Smart Hub. Basically, that's an opportunity for all of our members to go out and get real-time information about their energy usage, about what's going on out there. So far this year, we've had over 1,000 additional members sign up. We've got about 2,500 right now. We'd love all of you to sign up there because it can really answer a lot of your questions. You can also view and pay your bill out there. You can check your energy usage. For me, that helps me know when my daughter used the clothes dryer, because I can see that spike in my energy usage. You can also report service issues out there. It's easy to sign up. Just go out to the KIUC.coop website. There's a little button right on the right-hand side, and all you need is your customer number along with your name and your email address, so that can do it. Member services, besides being there to answer your phone calls, answer questions for you all the time, they do a lot of things to help benefit the members in the community by reducing energy costs and improving the environment. We have a number of different programs that can help our members decrease the amount of energy or make sure they're being as efficient as possible. We have folks who will go out and do home visits or visits to businesses. We have a lighting program. Every new member who signs up gets 3 LED light bulbs at this point in time, and I think most of you got the opportunity to pick yours up. A hint, even if you have light bulbs, the old kind that are working, change them out. It'll save you money. We have new efficient appliance rebate program. Right now, on a hot night like tonight, if you need an extra fan, you can still get a rebate from KIUC by putting in an efficient fan or replacing an older air conditioner with an efficient one. Qualifying member appliance replacement programs, that's mainly focused on seniors who have limited income. If they have a difficult time, have an old refrigerator that's very inefficient, in many cases we can help them upgrade that with no cost to the member. If you're wondering how your appliances are doing, we have meters that you can check out from KIUC and see how much energy that appliance is actually using, help you make a determination whether to change it out or not. I talked about commercial retrofit program where our folks go out, they take a look at the different businesses out there and try to help them save money, which of course travels down to helping our members save money when they do their shopping or purchases there. We have water heating programs available to KIUC members, a couple of different ones. It can be a rebate program, it can be a loan program. If you're interested in those, please give us a call and member services will let you know what your options are. One of the things that we're very proud of this year that we worked with the County of Kauai on, and our CEO, Mr. Bissell, does have meetings with the mayor every quarter at least, talking about how we can synergize and really get things to work together to help everybody on Kauai, because being a resident here in the County of Kauai, obviously we have the same mayor, but you know what? We all rely on KIUC for energy too, so we've got the same constituent base. One of the projects we had was replacing all of the street lights out there. Some of you might have had to drive around a few trucks when they were doing some of that work out there. Basically what went in is we put in LED technology, the same kinds of light bulbs that you've got in yours. They last longer, they use significantly less energy, much easier to maintain. I do want to acknowledge that our good senator, Mr. Ron Kochi, who was a previous board member, also helped get that discussion going. So we've got a lot of good input there. And just so you know, by replacing those street lights out there, we're saving the County of Kauai, all of us taxpayers here, about $400,000 a year in energy costs. Those are the kinds of partnerships we're looking for. With that, I'll pass it on to my fellow director, Mr. Yukimura.
I think Mr. Smith will
All right.
take over.
Let's give a hand to the technicians who turn on the air conditioner. Come on. We all appreciate their efforts. Slide. Some highlights. In the middle of last year, the Board of Directors embarked on an update of our strategic plan. The effort was led initially by former Director Dennis Isaki and was completed under the leadership of Director D. Kroll. The strategic plan is a very important and interesting document that is available on our websites, and I encourage all of you to look at it. There are a few strategic goals that we have and actions that are included in this plan. First, keep cost increases at or below the rate of inflation, and we have been successful in doing that. Maintain system reliability of 99.96%, and we're doing a great job at reliability, getting better every year, as you can tell. Reaching 70% renewable by year 2030. That's only a few years from now, 70%. Establish a rate structure that is fair between various classes and increases financial stability through greater recovery of costs through fixed charges, rather than reliance on volume of electricity consumed. Potentially seek increased exemption from regulation by PUC. Most cooperatives on the mainland are exempt from regulation. While regulations does provide benefits, it is also very costly, and it's costing you and I. and perhaps unnecessary for some of the things that we do as a cooperative. We will give this much thought and consider input from you, the members, as we approach the possibility of seeing reduced regulation from a Hawaii Public Utilities Commission. Looking at the future, we have a number of important projects that we're moving forward on. We are exploring a third dispatchable PV project, the details which are not ready for release yet, but it's close. The Pu'uopai Pumped Storage Hydro Project in Waimea is an important one and could ultimately provide 20% of our total power. We are currently in talks with the Department of Hawaiian Homes on terms for a lease and are hopeful that an agreement will be reached soon. Aside from the renewable power generation, this project put more water back into Waimea River and will provide valuable infrastructure for the DHHL, Department of Hawaiian Homelands, so it can open up more west side lands for agriculture and housing. This was achieved through mediation conducted by the State Commission on Water Resource Management, which brought all the parties together and created a groundbreaking win-win situation for the environment, the community, KIUC, and the agricultural industry on the west side of the island. And while we're on the subject of hydro, I wanted to reiterate how important our hydro projects are to our overall renewable mix. These legacy hydro facilities provide us with some of our cheapest and most reliable power. The Waiahi hydro facilities on the east side generate enough electricity to power 1,500 homes around the clock and displace or stop us from using 500,000 gallons of diesel fuel every year. We have been collaborating with the Commission on Water Resource Management for several years on a long-term lease for the North Fork of the Wailua River that feeds Waiahi, and expect that this will result in another win-win that will set water standards for the stream and provide the energy and agriculture uses for water that has been in place for the past 100 years. So when we talk about reaching 70% of our renewable power by the year 2030, that's not just a lofty goal. We actually have hydro and solar projects on the drawing board that will get us there. So we'd like to close this portion of the report by highlighting some big picture items. First, great news, our financials are strong and we won't be seeking any base rate adjustments for the year. Second, even though oil prices continue to be volatile and unpredictable, we've successfully hedged our renewables through purchase power agreements and are much better insulated against wild price swings that we were facing 5 years ago. Third, which also contributes to stability in pricing, our new purchase power agreement have been fairly favorably priced, and are fixed for a minimum of 20 years. Now, we'd like to turn it over to members of our Finance Committee for a more in-depth look at our annual financial report. Peter.
Aloha. I'm Peter Yukimura. I'm Treasurer of the Board of Directors. Now, moving on to our financial results, we are pleased to report that KIUC had a solid year financially. We have received a clean opinion from our independent auditors. We've met our loan covenants and made progress towards our equity ratio goal. There are two key financial ratios that we routinely track: the tier and the equity ratio. Both of these ratios are used by our lenders in our loan covenants and are calculated using KIUC's standalone figures, not KIUC consolidated figures. Tier, which is times interest earned ratio, is one measure of financial stability. It measures the number of times we can make the annual interest payment of our long-term debt. The 2016 tier was 1.95 times, which exceeds our loan covenant minimum of 1.25 times. However, since our 2016 tier was less than 2 times, KIUC will not be refunding a portion of the 2016 net margins to the members this year. The equity ratio represents the percentage of the cooperative's assets that we collectively as members own. In 2016, KIUC reached 30% in equity. As long as we maintain at least 30% in equity, there's a significant reduction in lender restrictions, which allows KIUC to have greater financial flexibility. When KIUC purchased Kauai Electric over 14 years ago, we started with 0 equity. At 12/31/2016, our equity was 30.3%. This means that we as members collectively own 30.3% of KIUC. And now I'll turn it over to fellow Finance Committee.
I get to finish up this very exciting part of the meeting. Next, I would like to turn your attention to the consolidated audited financial statements presented in the annual report, beginning with the balance sheet on page 11. As of the end of the year, our total assets were $380 million. Our total liabilities were $256 million. Did I say 380,000? And our total equity was $124 million. The largest component of our assets is the utility plant, which makes sense, which has a net book value of $320 million. The total debt owed to our lenders was $223 million, including the current portion of that debt. On page 12, you will find the statement of income and patronage capital. For the year ending 12/31/16, total revenues were $143 million, and total expenses were $137 million. We like that, resulting in net margins of $6 million. Of the $137 million in expenses, $57 million was spent on fuel and purchased power cost, and the remaining $80 million was spent to operate and maintain the generators and the transmission and distribution lines, service our customers, pay for the plant assets, revenue taxes, and interest expense, and generally operate and manage our cooperative. On page 14, we have a pie chart that shows what percentage of the revenues was used to pay for the various types of expenses necessary in operating the electric utility. One item I will highlight is that only 24% of our revenue went to pay for fossil fuel, an incredible number. As recently as 2013, KIUC was spending 50% of its revenue on fossil fuel. That is quite an accomplishment in such a very short period of time. I'll also point out that even though KIUC is a not-for-profit company, 8% of our total revenue does go to pay the state and county taxes. Finally, 4%, or $6 million, is our net margin. That's what left after paying our expenses. This amount was added to member equity, which increases our collective ownership of the cooperative. Mahalo for your attention this evening. I will now turn the program back to our board chairman, Alan Smith.
Thank you, Jimmy. Now, let's have a great round of applause for our directors on their presentations. I'd like to call attention to Councilwoman Joanne Yukimura, who's in attendance tonight. She just came in. Hi, Joanne. Welcome. Now we'd like to move into our question and answer portion of the meeting. And if you don't have any questions but would like to provide testimony, we'll do that following the question and answer portion. Our President and Chief Executive Officer, David Bissell, will assist in the Q&A portion. David, would you like to say a few words before taking the first question? If you have a question, come on up. Microphone's here.
Thank you, Alan. What a fabulous board we have here. We're so lucky as a community to have a board that's so engaged in really providing leadership and guidance to make these incredible accomplishments happen. We really are leading the industry in our renewable efforts, and it wouldn't happen without a strong, stable board. So please join me in giving those guys a hand. They really do deserve it. We also wouldn't be here with all these accomplishments without the employees of KIUC. Our 240-some employees, do just a fabulous job. And on my third try, I'm really going to get my employee count right. It's 144 employees at KIUC. We've been rapidly decreasing over the last year. We were just talking about not doing public math. It's always a problem as you think about numbers in front of a mic. But the employees are doing really all the work. They're making these groundbreaking renewable engineering feats happen. Nobody else is doing it in the industry. It was unheard of for a utility to hit 90% renewable during the daylight period using intermittent resources. It's taken our operations people, our engineers, being out there on the edge of actually developing this stuff, working with groundbreaking companies such as Tesla and AES to do it. And outside of doing the reliability work they've done, hitting the best record we ever had last year, and we're right on track for it again this year, these batteries we have essentially taken away any generation outages now. We can catch all but our biggest unit, Kauai, if there's any problems, where before we were shedding load and causing outages. So saving money and improving reliability. And outside of that, our employees are also out volunteering in the community. Last weekend, many of our employees were on the west side working on a Habitat for Humanity homes. They're out at most of the community events, and you don't have to look too far to see them. So the KIUC employees that are here, can you please stand up, and let's all give them a well-deserved round of applause too. Thank you so much. I'm so proud of them. It's a great group, and again, it wouldn't be happening without the teamwork between the board, the employees, and you, our members. It's been a great 15 years here. We've had our challenges to get there, but the co-op promise is really starting to come true. We're leading the industry, really making it happen here. So with that, I'll turn it over to questions. Anybody who wants to ask questions can step up to the mic up front here. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Felicia. I think I have a pretty simple question. I'm really impressed with all the renewables that you all have done. Having worked in solar, when I look at those vast fields, what happens in a hurricane? Is there a procedure to lay them down? How do we keep them safe in a hurricane?
Yeah, all the utility scale fields we have are hurricane rated, so they will stay in place and are engineered to hold up to I believe it's 125 mile an hour winds. So they're engineered. Hopefully they hold up, but they're not going to fold down.
Okay, I just wondered. I just was looking at that thinking, okay.
Thank you. Okay, seeing no one else step up, I'm going to turn it back to Alan Smith. Thank you.
Thank you, David. At this time, we'd like to open up to anybody who wants to say anything. Pua is walking up to the microphone or walking up to the stage. Thank you. Public testimony, Marge Dente. And the following Marge is Clyde Fujikawa. Marge, come forward, please. The microphone's on.
Well, first of all, I want to thank all the board members for doing such a wonderful, presentation this evening. It far outweighed last year's, getting more information than what we have to read in your annual report is a lot easier and very refreshing. Thank you for doing that this year. I'm interested in your fourth point of view on your strategic goals and actions, which says establish a rate structure that is fair between classes of members. And that's what I want to address this evening. And I want to point to the audience because I want you all to realize that you may be facing some rate hikes in future years, depending on what the board decides to do. And I'll start to outline some of them. For over a year, the board has been stating at monthly meetings that they have been working on a plan to change the rate structure that will allow members a reduction in their rates if they can use power during the daylight hours. Otherwise, for members who are not at home working on jobs during the day and must use most of their energy-consuming appliances and water heaters during the evening hours, you have been suggesting, the board, that these rates might be higher. Think about that, you guys, in terms of your lifestyle. No action has been taken yet by you, the board, I have been told. However, I am hoping you will consider the following in discussing any rate structure changes. Even though I am a daytime user of power, but because I do not have a smart meter, I will be penalized again by having to pay the potentially higher rate. I am already being charged a totally prejudicial rate of $10.27 a month for not having a smart meter, which totals out to over $1,200 for the next 10 years of my life. Since seniors and low-income members will be severely impacted with future prejudicial rates, I am wondering when the board will plan to have public meetings on the important issue. As co-op members, will we be able to vote? And that's a question to the board. Now, at this last Tuesday's board meeting, it was pointed out that the Tesla batteries are now available for sale on Kauai to residents who have solar. Potentially, as this technology is developed, solar users may never have to purchase power from KIUC ever again. That said, how will the co-op make up the difference in the lost income in order to pay all the administrative and engineering expenses in future years? Will the members who do not have to or need solar have to bear the brunt of reduced sales? I think these are legitimate questions, and I'm bringing it to you as members, and I hope on the next election, which will happen in March for a board member position, I would like to see more women on this board. Hello? I'm not against men, and these men are doing a good job, but I think we need more women point of view, and thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Marge. I'd like to also call attention to State Representative Nadine Nakamura, who's present, and our Senator, Senate President Ron Kochi. Clyde Fujikawa, please come forward and we'll welcome your comments.
Again, my name is Clyde Fujikawa. I have quite an interest in the KIUC company, which is my company. Paying for several houses, I probably pay these gentlemen up here more than most of you. Actually, the costs are relatively high. My question is this, that in 8 years, 2025, you have said that you will reach 79.8% renewable. in reflection of 2017, which is 42.6 or 42.8%. Now, you will get there by a number of ways. More solar, and our pump station, which I hope goes in because I think it is an awesome project. But in looking at the finances, two questions. Number one, as we build these plants, will it increase our equity? And number two, will it lower my cost of electricity? Answers?
Sure, we got good answers. Clyde?
When we build the plant, and right now we're estimating it'll be about a $90 million capital investment, that will decrease our equity percentage. It won't have any impact on our equity dollars, but it's an equity to assets ratio, so we'll have more assets, so it'll lower the equity a little bit, several percentage probably, but we'll still be financially solvent, so our balance sheet is strong and it can support a project of that nature. Regarding rates, it's safe to say we will not do a project if it doesn't have negative movement on rates. It's an interesting change we're faced with because we used to always do projects and evaluate it against the cost of oil. Now we're increasingly not only looking against oil projections, but we're also looking against other technology projections. So it's got to beat both our projections for oil, and it also has to beat competing technologies such as battery with storage. And they're not exactly the same project. A PV system and a battery is not the same as a PV system and a hydro facility with pump storage. So, but we weigh that, but overall it's got to have negative impact or we won't do it.
That sounds very reasonable. As for because this is our company, this is our KIUC, I'm looking forward to lower rates. Thank you.
Thank you, Clyde. Okay.
If I can add just one point. It is true that since we started on our aggressive renewable direction about 6 years ago, every single renewable facility that we brought online, and we brought on more on average than any utility in the country, maybe in the world, has come in at less than the current cost of oil-fired power, which means that every single plant that we brought online drove rates down because our cost of energy goes straight to the bottom line.
Thanks for that point, Jan. In closing, I would like to thank you again for making the time to come here tonight to acknowledge our 15 years as a cooperative. What makes us special, KIUC, is your participation. That is very important. I'd like to, before we close, to ask all the KIUC employees to stand again. They're the guys that make it happen. Employees in the auditorium, please stand. Thank you so much for all that you guys do. Our staff and board members will be here to chat and answer any further questions that you may have. But before you leave, don't forget to pick up your bag of rice and a copy of the annual report. Mahalo and aloha.